Here are some highlights of this program.
Hello everybody.
Welcome to Brainstorm exclusive interview.
Our education should be corrected, adapted, and updated.
Live better, they can send their children to school because they can interact with their authorities.
Electricity, computer science, innovation,
And we know that it's a brainstorm.
Yourself, after watching this interesting program, notice the final statement made by our notable guest, a brand new one. Hello and welcome to Brainstorm Broadcast. Today, many people across the globe use the social networks for either business, education, or communication. If you're one of those who use the social networks, you want to know how can you draw some advantages or avoid some drawbacks. So you want to discover many things, so please pay rapt attention as we develop the theme on this program, the impact of social networks around the globe or around the world. So we are happy to share this information with you, ladies and gentlemen, through this platform. I'm delighted to host a guest whose name is Rodrigue Bonsole. Hello, sir.
Hi, Guy. Very happy to be here this morning to participate in the show. I've been wondering if, what time do we have a show, because I was rushing to be here. And I'm very happy to share about the social networks and what can we give as detailed information, to show to the population that the social network is very important, so that they can go ahead and finding different solutions.
Let me introduce you. Rodrigue Bonsole is an English instructor, Matata political party spokesperson, and also one of the former American Corner English Club members. We are here just to spend at least 26 minutes discussing this very important issue, the impact of social networks around the world. Now, why many people are so much attracted to social networks in the world?
First of all, Mr. Guy, do you know the internet before it wasn't known, and people were communicating, by the phones. But in the appearance of the internet, at the years of 2000, everybody is now attracting, to use internet. And by the 2004, Mark Zuckerberg, came with the idea of creating Facebook. 2 years after him, it was Twitter, and Twitter became very popular. And now people are using it, to share informations through the world. It's the very easiest way to share the information in the world. Reason why you see we're having, Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter now to communicate. But in the next year, I think the world will be together by other small social network, which is going to be very easiest to make people very easy and in communication.
Yes, we cannot talk about social networks without mentioning social media. So what is the history of social media? Please watch and we'll be back.
The history of social media. Today, social media is a term that everyone knows. Even the most remote areas of the world have at least heard of Facebook and Twitter, and are probably using them on a regular basis. But it wasn't always that way. The first social media was a website called 6 Degrees. 6 Degrees allowed users to create a profile and then friend other users. By the year 2000, around 100 million people had access to the internet, and it became quite common for people to be engaged socially online. Back in the early 2000s, the website MySpace was the popular place to set up a profile and make friends. MySpace was the original social media profile website, leading into an inspiring websites like Facebook. In 2004, Mark Zuckerberg launched what would soon become the social media giant that would set the bar for all other social media services. However, back in 2004, Facebook was launched just for Harvard students. Zuckerberg saw the potential and released the service to the world. In 2006, the popularity of text messaging or SMS inspired Jack Dorsey, Biz Stone, Noah Glass and Evan Williams to create Twitter, a service that had the unique distinction of allowing users to send tweets of 140 characters or less. Today, Twitter has over 500 million users. Although it is impossible to know what the future of social media holds, it is clear that it will continue. So, what's your favorite social media platform? Describe it.
Right. What do you think can be done to make good use of social networks, especially social networks users?
Users have to settle, a timetable. Social network is very useful nowadays, but before using them, you have to settle a timetable because we are having, many works. We have teachers, we have doctors, we have instructors, we have parents, we have pastors, we have many PhD people that are working in this world. But, to settle a program by for using the social networks is very important because if you don't have a program, you will just go through it without calculating the time that you have to go to work, without calculating the time to go to church. Social network is now very important, to make people very easy in communication. For example, as I was writing for the campaign of becoming a member of parliament, I used to communicate with my people in the social networks. I used to give them information about my campaign teams in social networks. I used to use Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter to communicate. But now, if you want to make it useful, now you have to know what type of work am I going to do in there. If you use it for communication, now go just on communication. If you want to use it for the publicity, you have to go on the publicity. But if you want to use it by mingling, you go there, you don't know what you're going to use. You just go to Facebook, you go to WhatsApp, you go to anywhere that you want. You will spend your time just for nothing. The history of social network is now, American people are very, very strong men. They discover internet. They discover Facebook. They discover Twitter. They discover all of these networks to make people linked. The very useful manner of using it is by transmitting the information to impact the world.
Yeah, I wanted to underline the word timetable because I know that people are free to have access to social networks for various reasons. So what can you tell them in order to make good use or to keep it under control?
But by the morning when you wake up, first of all, I have to take tea. And after taking tea, I have to go to work. By 12, I have a break time. By 1 p.m., I have to go back to work. By 5, I gotta go back home or the church. I think the very important time to use social network is by the afternoon because you're free. You can't mix social networks with works. You can't make social networks by driving a car because you will be distracted. Basically, in Africa, I see many people don't care about it. They use phones in a car while driving. He receives a message, now he checks in and see, oh, you're called. Someone is calling you there. So there is no way for them to manage time to use Facebook. Or meanwhile, you can just spend your time. You say that I have to use my Facebook or WhatsApp at the later time, not during the work time, because you will be distracted. Okay. This is very important for the guys to be mentioned.
All right. I know you personally make a good use of your device, your smartphone. You have a WhatsApp group in which you use this to campaign and sending a relevant message. But we want to know through this following video the evolution of a social media, namely in terms of or in the sector of communication. Please watch and we'll be back.
Science historian James Burke once said, "You can only know where you're going if you know where you've been." Even though he was referring to life on a philosophical level, the same can be said about the evolution of the influential platforms we've adopted the past 2 decades. Because if we take a hard pause right now and reflect on how far we've come on a digital level, where would we be without MSN, ICQ, Reddit, Napster, or MySpace? The true OG inventions that radically change the way we connect, create, and express ourselves instantly. And without today's social pillars, where would we know where we're headed next? MySpace is regarded as the platform that influenced social networking as we know it. In 2003, the California-founded website exploded in popularity when hordes of students gravitated towards the novel idea that staying connected with friends was possible without having to leave the house. Not long after, in 2004, a new player stepped into the game and dethroned MySpace, and that was Facebook, an instant hit with university students in North America, putting likes, comments, and pokes on the map, but more importantly, normalizing photo sharing and network visualization as we know it. The rest, well, they say it's pretty much history. The emergence of social apps began to roll out at a steady pace. In 2005, we said hello to YouTube. In 2006, Twitter flocked to the scene. 3 years later, messaging platform WhatsApp found a secure place on our phones. In 2010, we were introduced to filters thanks to Instagram. We found the thrill in short-lived content thanks to Snapchat in 2011, embraced bite-sized content in 2012 with Vine, and became the music video star we've always dreamed of in 2017 thanks to TikTok. According to wearesocial.com, there are close to 4 billion social media users today, which comes as no surprise when we are all social creatures, as proven in the 40% increase many of these apps saw the first weeks into quarantine. It seems that we may have our social bases covered for now, but as we continue to scroll, swipe, and tap to stay informed and entertained, our imaginations can only continue to run wild as it once did for our social historians.
All right, now we want to know, let's go to different, I can mean or target, try to say different targets like a family life. So what kind of impact can social networks have in a family life? I think you are a family member, a family head. So what kind of impact social networks can have in a family life?
As a Christian family, we use social networks by, for finding different preachings of the pastors. Last week, I didn't go to church, but I used my Facebook account to follow preaching from church. And in my home, sometimes if we don't go to church, I call my wife and children, to watch TV through the Facebook or maybe Twitter. Social network is very important in the families. If you settled a program of watching, I do not watch any program. I just watch preachings, and sometimes I can watch school diaries, for kids. And this is going to help my family to grow up.
So honestly speaking, can you tell us, could social networks strengthen or weaken family bonds?
Of course, of course. If you don't use it well, you will be weakened.
How?
And if you use it well, you will be strengthened. You will be weakened, by finding bad programs. It is just like a TV set. When you watch TV, you open a program and you don't know what kind of program you're going to follow. You just dropped on a movie section. And by following that movie sections, you will be just going ahead but without knowing what will you watch. But if you watched good program, you are going to benefit something important for your life and for the societies. But if you watch bad program, for example, you will deepen your behavior into a darkness.
Yes.
Yeah, this is very important for everyone to know.
I think you will agree with me that communication is a key, is like a blood in a family. For a family to survive, to live a better, communication is a key. And sometimes we notice that because of social networks, you can see as two spouses, husband or man and wife, or his wife, or they don't talk. They can be there sitting and chatting, using each one of them, the smartphone, or even children. They don't pay attention. There is no real communication in the family. So what can be done to keep social networks in its place as a family?
Okay. The father is the chief of the family. The father himself and the mother, as a chief of a family, they have to create a good mood. You said to me before coming here that if you don't have a good mood, you will keep on with that bad mood until the end. But the father, as a father, he has to settle a kind of what we call a pattern of programs for his family. The wives, kids, and all of those guys, they basically don't know what kind of website to use. In ancient times, we had only sites like emails, Hotmails, and Yahoo. But now we have Facebook, WhatsApp, and Twitter, and so on, what we call again, TikTok. By using these programs in your family, you have to tell them, first of all, what kind of friends they have to pick on. They do not have to choose anyone to be their friends because there are pirates. Pirates can hijack you. They can just come and hack you and steal your money. You have, first of all, to select what kind of friends do I have to friend. And after that, you can go on by following good education instructors. And this will help you to come up with good ideas. And they're going to help you to come up with good programs so that you can, in the future, be fond of them.
But you know, as a parent, I can feel that you have that control over your children if you have. Some children, you can control them on how to use social networks. But there are other parents sometimes, they cannot keep their children under control. Their children's responsibilities sometimes given up. So what kind of tips can you provide them to help their children make good use of social networks?
Yeah, Mr. Guy, you know, basically I'm a Christian. I am a Christian. I used to follow preachings from the pastors like T.D. Jakes and some Branhamist pastors. They all told us, I mean, like the Jehovah's Witnesses also, I used to read, you know, Watchtower and Awake. They often tell us that a mind has to be settled well. You have to arrange your mind from the family, because families is the key of a good society. You have to settle them that we are Christians. We can't watch any program. We have to watch the programs which will help us to come up with good ideas. So as a father, you will not be as a dictator. You have just to tell them a good way to follow. And if they don't follow, it means you were not bold. You have to be bold by telling them that my child, my wife, you have to follow this program. And by the small age, the guy will follow it. When he grows up, he will keep on by following this matter. And we have very huge responsibilities by reorganizing our family to gain good education. This is very well.
Thank you. Since we talked about education, good educational quality education, we want to focus on the impact of social networks around the world. But we know there are dark side and a positive good side.
Right.
So now when it comes to education, for instance, you think that the use of social networks to improve a student's learning scale? If you say so, why?
Of course. I was, working as a teacher somewhere. I was asking to someone the definition of a word, of an English word. I talked to him, go to the internet, ask to Google, and if you don't find it, ask your teacher who's living in the U.S., what is the meaning of this word? Just in 1 minute, I received an instant answer. It means the social network helped me to get instant answers. And if I want to, pop a question to a guy who's living far away, what did you do today? What did you find today as a good answer for your life? The guy will answer me quickly as soon as possible. Social networks links people around the world. If someone is living in China and you need him, you will be able to reach him just in 1 minute. If someone is living in USA or France, you will be able to reach him just in 1 minute. You see, it is very important to use social networks. You have to manage your time by using that.
So now let's talk about public administration. To what extent social networks use can also impact this public administration, positively or negatively?
This is also something which is very important. You know, public administrations are using social networks badly. Why? We often, we are having too many fake news, Mr. Guy.
Yeah.
We're having too many fake news. They lie on people.
All the time.
This guy is stolen something. This guy has gone something. This guy has slept with a wife, but without proof. With public information, we have to see what kind of the source, what is the source from this news. Because if you don't care about source, you will just grab all things, all the dash, and put it in your mind. Public administrations, they have to work well. They do not have to rely on social networks because we're having too many lie polls. Reason why you see the country is not working well because people are lying a lot. But with the current life, I can't lie to my wife. I will tell to my wife truth because I know my wife will forgive me. But with the public, they need to have the famous, what we call it, a kind of a buzz. They need buzz, just to make too many likes.
Yes.
Yeah.
In our opening statement, we mentioned business. We said that social networks can also help advance business. Can you tell us how using social networks can help advance business?
Of course. By making publicity, because, for example, there is a new product appeared now. Vodacom is launching something which is very important for his company. And people who don't know, someone who's living at Lubumbashi, he doesn't know. He will just go on the social network and find, wow, we have this news from the social media. We have 4G. We have this type of phones. We have this type of information. Through the social networks, we're having too many news, good news through it. And it helps pass communication easily without problems. This is what I like from the social networks.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, as you're watching this very interesting program, we focus on the impact of social networks around the world, but we want just to be focused here in the DRC. We want to watch this following video about the positive effects of social media, namely in business. Please watch, and we'll be back.
In today's society, social media has become a powerful and popular tool in people's daily life. Due to its wide coverage, social media has millions and millions of users in any part of the world. The biggest and most useful function is that we can use them to chat and keep in touch with others. We can post something that we want to share, such as our feelings, things that are gonna happen, or had already happened. Of course, we can view others' moments too, to find something funny, to know what happened around you. In the last few years, social media has greatly changed the world of marketing. Enterprises use social media to showcase their brands, build a good relationship with customer and drawing new sales. Social media makes life convenient, lets people get reach to each other. It certainly plays a great role for the success of each individual.
All right. So what can we look ahead to in the days ahead as far as social networks are concerned?
Very ahead, I think we have to make a kind of censures because we're having too many espionage, the espionage from the social networks. The Secret Service or the, what do you call it here, ANER, and all these guys, they have to settle. I think they have to regulate regulate the use of social networks because if they do not regulate, country will go just like this with false informations, false rates, false pools, leading people into mistakes. So they have to regulate. If this news is fine, they let it go. If this news is fake, they block it in order to help people get only good informations. Because if they let all news go on, we will be having too many bullshit stuffs in our minds. I think very ahead, the government has to regulate the social network use in Congo mainly, in Kinshasa, and the people of the Congo, they have to be educated. Because we see many insults. If there were censorship, there were a kind of censorship, of course, this kind of stuff won't come out. We see many insults, we see many fake news, we saw many pornographic movies in the social networks. The government, they have to take this concern into account. They have to regulate no use of social media by kids, no use of social media by porn stars, no use of social media by fake news, so that teachers, pastors, all those guys, they can come up with good ideas to help Congolese populations. Because we're having too many fake news. We don't know where to go. Too many fake news, we don't know where to go.
Rodrigue Bonsole, thank you so much for joining us for this relevant information on this platform and on this program.
May I greet someone?
Yeah, you can say something to a friend you know.
Thank you, everybody, as you watch here. I call you to study English. I like my Congolese population a lot. English language is a very worldwide language. I want you to learn it and to be able to speak English everywhere. Okay. I greet Matata Ponyo, I greet my family members, I greet everybody from my team, I greet my president, and I love you too much. Thank you. Take care.
All right, thank you so much. We are at the end of our program. It was very interesting as we broke down the concept, the social networks, the impact of it around the world, and we focus also on local realities, the Democratic Republic of Congo, where the guest was really knowledgeable. It discussed this theme in length, targeting family, public administration, education, and so forth. This is not the last, but in the days ahead, we'll be discussing and breaking down all other issues. Thank you so much for watching this program. Bye. Here are some highlights of this program.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to Brainstorm exclusive interview.
Our education should be corrected, adapted, and updated.
Live better, they can send their children to school because they can interact with their authorities.
Mechanics, electricity, computer science, innovation, yeah.
And we know that this Brainstorm.
Yourself after watching this interesting program, notice the final statement made by our notable guest, a brand new one.